What's up? What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Let's get down to the situation. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video, y'all. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15, episode 10. You know, it was a lot of shading going on. Yes, everybody was throwing some type of shade. Everybody was putting the other one on blast. Okay, so let's get into the episode. The episode was like, let's just throw some shade here or there. Let's get into it. And let's start off with Drew. She was throwing her shade. She was the first one to throw her shade, and basically she was throwing shade at her husband Ralph, and she was just saying, Ralph, you can host this dinner and you can make people think that you're such this gracious husband, or try to make them think that, but you convincing them that you're a gracious husband, you'll have a better chance of having peace in the Middle East. I was like, girl, why you shading your man like they trying to do something nice, something good? He done accept your sister back, child. I think when it comes to Drew, she had it up to here, and she was like, oh, you want to be hostess? She was like, I don't even see you even be in the kitchen cooking or cleaning. You don't even know what a spatula is. So why is this man acting like he can cook? Why is this man acting like this? I was like, come on, Drew. Drew, what you doing? What you saying? Drew was roasting her husband, child. You know, when it comes to Drew and Ralph, they do be roasting each other for real, for real. But Drew done had it up to here. That's probably why she was out there kissing Mimi X Ty. So that was a whole situation. Go ahead, Drew. Drew was basically dragging Ralph. And then they was like talking about Ralph wanting to, you know, be a part of Chocolate City and dancing and things of that nature. Basically, everybody said, Ralph, your body ain't cut out to be that. What a mess, what a mess. Ralph did have it when he first started the show. And in the event, we get Kandi. She's throwing her shade. Kandi shade is, you know, she's saying like, oh, I can't believe Bryce is actually with Courtney. He is such a nice guy. How can he ever put up with that? So Kandi's still taking her shots, and she still ain't feeling Courtney at all. So you already know the whole situation. What a mess, what a mess. And then we get to Sheree. Sheree's basically trying to be shady and asks Kenya Moore, where is your man at, child? Like, Kenya, where's your man at? And then on top of that, you know, Sheree's acting like she feels like Kenya Moore is making up a man. She's dialing up a man like, oh, does he really exist? I was like, Lord, look at Sheree being shady. Then Drew jumped in and she said, Sheree, where's your man? And Sheree said, well, Martel's sick. I was like, girl, you already know that they're feeling a certain type of way because Kenya done came from Martell. And Sheree, you already know you should be embarrassed that your man ain't ish, your man ain't dish. And he put out a sex tape, and he used his baby mamas to help him put out a sex tape on his, you know, ex-wife, the mother of his children. Like, girl. And then on top of that, he don't be claiming you at all. Like, come on, Sheree. Yes, I know Kenya did come from Martell because you thought you was gonna have something good with Martell, but Kandi done already dropped the beans before you even got with Martell, because Kandi was over there on the radio station basically saying that Martell hooked up with her friend from another show, and they were trying to plan publicity stunts, and they went to Blaze Steakhouse and they was trying to, you know, garner some attention. So she already called the play, and then, you know, Kenya Moore wanted to jump into that play and basically thinking that she's helping you at the same time, but she's being shady at the same time. So now the girls are feeling a certain type of way about Kenya. They want Kenya to be mad at her man Roy. Why would Kenya be mad at her man Roy? If you guys got a problem how you know, Kenya Moore acted and how she treated Martell and how she confronted him and said that he was up in her DMs, and Kandi was in there trying to get the information, said yes, there was messages sent and things of that nature. Okay, if y'all are feeling a certain type of way about that situation, then won't y'all make a big deal out of it? Why she gonna make a big deal out of something that is her? Like, why would she make herself look bad? Like, come on, y'all don't make no sense. Now the shade continues to come when Kenya Moore shades Marlo Hampton's man. I believe his name is Scott Lee, and she basically says it seems like La eBay was closed. Okay, like OMG. So what do you think about Marlo's Hampton, her dating the way that he was dressed? Yes, Kenya Moore was throwing shade. I told you they was throwing shade this episode. Okay. And Kandi was throwing shade too as well, because she feels like Marlo Hampton wouldn't really be involved with a man like the chef because he doesn't have enough money. And Kandi continues to say that Marlo says that she don't even be having sex, and if somebody want to get some from her, they gonna have to spend something. They gonna have to grease her palm. So basically, Kandi is saying that Marlo's is out here for the street and this man can't afford her child. There's a whole lot going on, and I don't know what's up with Kandi's makeup, but Kandi looked like he woman in this situation. And then Kandi proceeds to call Scott Lee poor baby. I was like, girl, Kandi, how you really feeling? So Kandi's feeling a certain type of way, and basically she's saying Marlo's not messing with no broke dude, and this guy is just to be there just to film. This is a whole mess. So y'all tell me what y'all think about this whole situation. And also Kandi was asked about casting the movie, child. Like, you gotta cast, and what's up with Kenya Moore? How come you haven't cast Kenya Moore? And Kenya Moore was like, yeah, how come you haven't cast me? And who's your leading lady? And it's Drew Sidora. So I wonder the reason why Kandi never casted Kenya Moore. I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think about that whole situation. And Kenya Moore says, I don't need to audition. I don't need to do this. Just think about me as the, threesome. If you need a threesome, Blase ain't the third. I was like, But also Kandi threw shade at Drew Sidora when she basically says the person that Drew Sidora is playing is a naive woman, that she acts like she don't know what's going on. Her husband turned her out. That's the woman that Drew's playing, though, even though Drew tried to act like she's naive and she don't act like she don't know what's going on. So basically she's saying that Drew is fronting out here in these streets, and she's being fakery when it comes to Ralph, because she knew what was up and she knew what was going on. That's what it says to me, Kandi, that she's not naive or delusional. She knows what's up, and you know that she knows what's up. So drop T. And then we have Drew. She basically felt a certain type of way because Kenya was kind of like taking shots, or she felt like Kenya was taking shots because Kandi done chose her to play the lead in Lady. Or maybe the shade was a threesome. Okay, so it could be some underlying shade thrown at Drew Sidora. But in any event, Drew said, what movie did you play in? This movie, girl, this movie you played in, wasn't that like 22 years ago? Find something new to do or give up acting. I was like, Drew. So Drew's coming with her kickbacks. Okay, Drew is trying her best to stand up. She got her sister over there that went through a breakdown. She got her father that is sick. She's going through a divorce, and she's probably struggling with her sexuality. So there's a lot going on because she believes in God, but she like a little cootie coo. And then Kenya Moore gets a phone call, and she basically shows everybody that Roy is on the phone. And then that's when Marlo was like, don't I know him? Isn't he the one that called me crazy? I was like, Marlo is a whole mess. Marlo already know who she was dating. She already knew as soon as Kenya was going to mention his name in front of her, she was going to bring this up, child. She couldn't wait to say, hey, girl, do you know I used to date him? This is a whole mess. So, Marlo saying, yeah, I went on a date with him, and things of that nature. Kenya Moore, she gets up and she walks away from the table, child, because she didn't want to give any type of interaction with Marlo. And then on top of that, she's dealing with Roy, that this multi-millionaire, got businesses all across America and across the coast and across the world and different continents. So therefore, she's trying to be on one, even though it looked like he was down there searching for a real housewife. Okay, if he was talking to Marlo, same thing. What's his name did? Simon Gubadia. He was watching that Porsche. He was watching the girls. Okay, so in any event, you guys let me know what you think about this whole situation. Sheree's being so shady too. Sheree was like, yeah, ooh, for real? Just like when Kandi said, ooh, I know Marlo's boyfriend, for real, you do. It's like they all want some dirt. Sheree just don't want to feel bad that she brought a real loser on the show and she got to walk around, basically bragging about sleeping with a loser child and walking away empty-handed. And he really didn't, amplify or basically increase her platform as far as making it even better when it comes to the housewives and making her, reaching that plateau, which she's hasn't reached yet. But in any event, Marlo is like, oh yeah, child, I know him. Kenya Moore, she goes and talk, and then, she goes to talk to him on the phone privately, and then Marlo, she jumps in and she was like, ooh, child, let me make sure I still got his number. Let me make sure his number is still the same. She was like, he DM'd me. I was filming a movie with Cynthia Bailey. What movie was she filming? And then she said, child, after that whole situation, he hit her up and they were talking, and they went out for brunch, one date brunch, and she said that he was kind of boring, he wasn't her type. Okay, then we get back to the situation where it's brought up again. I think it was Sanya that brought up the whole situation again, because Sanya is going to poke at Kenya Moore because she don't like Kenya Moore, and she don't like Kandi, and she don't like Drew, and the rest of the girls feel the same way, that is not on Team Kenya or Team Kandi or Team Drew. Don't mess with them three. The rest of the girls, okay, Manietta, we already know she's with Kandi, Burruss, point blank period. But when it comes to Sheree, Marlo, and Miss Sonia, they are team each other. And Kenya Moore did state that, Roy told him all about the whole situation. And yes, they can say hypocrisy. Oh, you got mad at Martell. You made a big deal out of Martell's situation. How come you're not making a big deal? That's up to Marlo to make a big deal, to say that he's no good. That's up to Sheree to make a big deal out of it and say, hey, you called out Martell, but look at your man. He was going through the cast too as well. So what's the big difference? You know what I mean? But there is a big difference because we know who Martell is. Now we got Marlo talking about, you got my sloppy seconds, child. Now Sheree had to be messy and say, hey, Drew, are you going to be able to afford to pay the chef? Because you're being sued by somebody saying that they're a chef, babysitter, blasting the third, and you owe them money. I was like, child, Sheree knows that she has been up the creek. She knows that she done owed and been sued by a lot of people, and she took that shot at Drew, and Drew was like shocked by it. Like, girl, you can't get shocked. You already know these girls are not your friends, and every time you keep trusting them and being their friends and being around them and doing stuff around them that you shouldn't be doing, you get caught out there because they will quickly throw you under the bus because they don't really value you, girl. So in any event, Sheree was basically being low down and dirty, okay, and it was an ugly situation, and that was really, really shady, knowing that girl's gonna pay that man. Sheree and Drew was like, no, we're gonna pay, this is frivolous, this is just Sheree. There was like $1,000. We'll help you pay that. Y'all are wrong. I know one thing for sure. When it comes to Courtney and Kenya Moore, I think they should be friends, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But I believe they should be friends. But we know Sheree's being messy, because Sheree is basically saying, hey Courtney, I'm so glad you're gonna make it on a trip. We're gonna need you in crisis situation, crisis environment. You keep it so well together. You're a good mediator, and basically praising her. And you already know Kenya was gonna say something like, what you mean? Like, I seen her get froggy with it, and she started some issues, some trouble. How is she the cool and calm one? And so Kenya Moore jumped in and was like, well, the situation that she had with Kandi, it wasn't so calm, cool, and collect. You might want to rethink that. Basically saying your girl Courtney, she don't got it all the way together. And Courtney was not going to try to let that go. Courtney was like, oh no. Then Courtney says, of course you would say that to Kenya. Then Kenya says, I don't need no crisis management. I am a crisis on my own. And Courtney says, I know. That's why she said that. I was like, child, ooh wee. And then they kind of like laugh and giggle, and Courtney was definitely laughing and giggle, and she was definitely touching Kenya Moore. And Kenya Moore says, please, I would like for you not to touch me. And then the first thing Courtney says, I didn't touch you. When we saw you clearly touch her, and you was touching her, then you admitted to touching her in the episode. But at this moment, when you're confronted, you said no. Okay. And then, Drew Sidora jumped in and was like, she's just basically telling you her boundaries. And Kenya Moore ain't never like nobody touching her. She don't even like Kandi hugging her. She don't like nobody touching her. She has these issues.